grounded in the shamanic plant medicine traditions of the Amazon basin. During that shamanic journey, I perceived that we humans shared the world not only with animals, insects, plants, and microbes, but with spiritual beings related to the forces of nature and other dimensions. And that some of these beings had an important message to share with humanity, a message of love, peace, and wisdom. Yeah, I know that's far out. I suggest you read Daniel Pinchbeck's book, Breaking Open the Head, if you want to explore the topic of modern-day shamanism in greater depth. This concept that we share this planet with spirits that we can actually communicate with, entities that have a message for us if we choose to listen, is actually not new. It's ancient. Western science, which is far more recent, hasn't developed the tools to observe and prove the existence of nature spirits, but just because we lack these tools doesn't necessarily mean that this phenomenon doesn't exist. So I'd like to invite you to have an open mind. I also encourage you to take whatever I say with a grain of salt, question everything, and explore things for yourself. My worldview is subjective to my life experiences and the cultures that influence me. And the culture of the Amazon, and many other cultures in the world, accept the presence of spirits in our everyday lives as something completely normal. A series of ceremonies began to shift my relationship with the natural world. Instead of experiencing nature hikes as outdoorsy excursions like I did in the past, I started to feel as if nature was trying to communicate with me. And the message was that we humans have lost our connection with the natural world, and that this was the underlying cause of disease, psychological imbalance, and larger-scale social problems. If you want to understand this concept further, I encourage you to Google the term eco-psychology. I became increasingly intrigued by the tribal cultures of the Amazon basin, to the point where I realized I needed to go and have a direct experience with the indigenous people who have been the wisdom holders of this medicine tradition for thousands of years. The details of what brought me to Acre, Brazil's westernmost state, which borders Peru and Bolivia, are too long to get into this episode. What I can say is I arrived there, knowing nobody and not speaking a single word of Portuguese, armed only with the second chapter of my friend Robert Tyndall's then unpublished book, The Jaguar That Roams the Mind, as my only guide. I had the email address of Fabiano Kashinawa, the son of the cacique, or chief of the Kashinawa communities of the municipality of Jordão, a frontier town in the Amazon rainforest. Fabiano, unfortunately, couldn't understand a word I said because I could only speak and write in Spanish. So I spent a couple of weeks bumming around the city of Rio Branco, which is not a tourist town, alone, trying to teach myself Portuguese, wondering what the hell I was doing and if I was on some kind of wild goose chase. Not knowing what to do, I did the only thing I could do, which was pray. I prayed that I'd accomplish my mission for traveling so far away to the middle of nowhere in search of knowledge that I urgently wanted, that I suspected was going to completely transform my life. And I wrote down a list of everything I wanted to accomplish during my time there. Soon, a series of synchronicities unfolded that brought people into my life and opened doors to experiences I could have never imagined possible. Again, to make a long story short, I was invited to travel to Fabiano's village with 2 documentary film teams from Sao Paulo to participate in the Festival of the Royal Hawk. Funding appeared from the Brazilian government to pay for our charter planes from Tarauacá, the town with the nearest airstrip, and 3 boats to take us 5 days further upriver. We traveled with the chief, his sons, and 2 anthropologists deep into the heart of the Amazon jungle. Kashinawa is the name that white anthropologists gave to this tribal nation, but they call themselves the Hunaquin, which means the true people. At night, we sat in ceremony with the tribe, who served us their sacred medicine, which they called Nishipa. As visions unfolded in the pitch darkness of the Kupixawa, their communal building, I found myself immersed in music. Every single member of the community joined in chanting their ancient songs, chants that they say go back to the beginning of time. It was a hypnotic cacophony of sound. All around us the forest buzzed and trilled with the music of nocturnal creatures, while in my expanded mind's eye I could perceive a multitude of luminous beings that lived among the trees. It was a primordial experience, and I felt a deep sense of connection to the natural world that was both healing and empowering. This is who we, human beings, truly are, beloved children of the earth. Who we are is not what we do, nor what we have. Our fixation with image, wealth, power, status, keeping up with the Joneses, these are delusions that keep us from knowing our intrinsic worth and connecting with our true purpose. During my time with the tribe and the two anthropologists, I learned about the Hunniquins' difficulties surviving and preserving their ways in a world where civilization increasingly encroached on their land and their identity. The tribal nations of Brazil have suffered over 500 years of persecution, slavery, and repression. Their modern-day conflicts with loggers, cattle ranchers, and gold prospectors are real, violent, and often condoned by authorities, politicians, and lawmakers who have financial gain. This is profit at any cost in action. The Hunniquin shamans shared with us their worldview, understanding of reality, and how all the knowledge they have about the forest was taught to them by the spirits of plants and animals. To me, their wisdom has value, and to imagine their voice disappearing from the world seemed to me a great tragedy. On one hand, we know what we lose. According to Mark Plotkin, a Harvard-trained ethnobotanist and founder of the Amazon Conservation Team, every time a shaman dies, it's as if a library burned down. On the other hand, we don't know what we lose. We lose one culture's entirely unique way of understanding the world, reality, and humanity, a perspective that graces our multifaceted collective consciousness with its own brilliance. When we lose a culture's worldview, the diamond mind of our collective consciousness shines less brightly. How can you quantify that? I resigned my job via email and spent 4 months in Acre exploring how I could be of better service in the world. During that time, I met and apprenticed with 2 medicine women who gave me a flower essence to accelerate my ability to learn and master Portuguese, which I came to speak fluently at the end of my 4 months there. I met Chay Macedo, an officer of FUNAI, the Fundação Nacional do Índio, a Brazilian governmental protection agency for Indian interests and their culture. Chay Macedo survived multiple attempts on his life for his work helping the Indians gain federal recognition of their tribal lands. In one incident, a man assaulted him in broad daylight in the township of Marechal Camaturgo, stuck the barrel of a gun point-blank range at his temple, and tried to shoot him. But the bullet stuck in its chamber, and onlookers took down the assailant before he could fire again. The reason for his amazing luck in evading attempts on his life? Because I walk with the queen of the forest, he said. My friend Robert Tyndall, my original inspiration to go to Acre, introduced me to his friend Leo by email, who was also following in his footsteps. Leo became enamored with the Amazon after having connected with the Pachamama Alliance, a non-profit organization based in San Francisco. He participated in their Awakening the Dreamer Symposium and had gone on one of their Ecuador trips to visit the Ashwar indigenous community that they work with. Even though he was well over 70, he flew to Rio Branco determined to have an authentic adventure in the Brazilian Amazon. I brought him to the Santo Daime community of Mapia in western Amazonas. As we sat wedged between sacks of rice and beans on a 10-hour boat journey into the jungle, navigating our way past submerged treetops, Leo pulls out a laminated business card. Printed on one side is the vision of the Pachamama Alliance, a vision of a world that works for everyone. A socially just, environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling human presence on this planet. And printed on the other side is his own personal mission statement. He looks at me with a playful, inquisitive expression and asks, "What's your personal mission?" Over the weeks, I thought about it and thought about it. When I thought about the most important and prevailing passions or obsessions in my life, one was the pursuit of wisdom through immersion into ancient spiritual traditions. The second was the pursuit of right livelihood. I wanted the way I earned my living to be in alignment with my spiritual values and my lifestyle. I asked myself, what do I really want to do? How could I design a life that allowed me ample free time to go on mini sabbaticals like this one without disrupting my career potential, cash flow, or limiting me to low-end jobs where there really wasn't so much stigma around lengthy job gaps or sticking it out with the company for each year required to get a promotion? What industry could I work in that didn't require me to be physically in the office to do my job? What were some of the best opportunities available to me in my hometown of San Francisco? It didn't take long before it dawned upon me. The internet. But what would be my personal mission? And how could I leverage the internet to fulfill this mission? I decided to choose a mission that was ambitious, bold, and meaningful. I was going to leverage emerging technologies to preserve indigenous culture and empower indigenous people so that their ancient wisdom could continue to benefit the modern world. There was only one problem. I knew absolutely nothing about the internet and was probably at that time the most technologically unsavvy person you ever met. The only thing I knew how to do really was to send email. That intention started a new adventure, learning how to build a profitable online business so I could work from anywhere in the world. That journey was its own roller coaster ride, and a bit too long to get into right now. However, I started by building my first website about the rainforest on Joomla, which was exceedingly painful. Eventually, I figured out that blogging about the rainforest was probably not going to be a profitable endeavor that would allow me to quit my job and work remotely. I also switched over from Joomla to WordPress, a way easier open source content management system to work with, and threw myself into blogging about sustainable business, social enterprise, new technology, and social media for good. During this 7-year journey, I learned SEO, SEM, and social media marketing well enough to earn a 6-figure salary creating viral social media campaigns for a leading San Francisco tech company. My blogging efforts opened up consulting jobs with sustainable companies as a side hustle. In 2011, I was able to cut the corporate umbilical cord, become an internet marketing consultant, and go location independent. Which is what brings me to Chiang Mai, Thailand on this Thanksgiving Day. This is the long story of how my relationship with the tribes of the Amazon basin influenced my life purpose to empower entrepreneurs to shift our current business paradigm of profit at any cost to profit with principles. This is how I came to be who I am today, a blogger, podcaster, internet marketer, and rainforest crusader, trying to make the world a better place through business. It's been a wild ride, full of exhilarating highs and ego-crushing lows. I hope you enjoyed this story and stick around with me for the journey. One final note. Being an evolutionary entrepreneur involves mastering your outer game, but more importantly, mastering your inner game. While the majority of each episode on Entrepreneurs for a Change will focus on outer game business strategies, at the end of every segment, I'd love to leave with you a practical tool and a mindset tool to help empower you right here, right now. So here's a great practical tool I use all the time. It's called Hootsuite. Hootsuite allows me to update all my social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, from one attractive console. What's even better, you can add team members so that they can also manage your profiles without you giving up your main password. You can also add up to 10 hashtag, keyword, or list streams to your dashboard. And here's a mindset tool for you. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I invite you to practice gratitude. Every day. When you wake up, take a few minutes to reflect upon the things you are grateful for and the people you appreciate in your life. This simple practice alone has the power to uplift and transform your day. This brings us to the end of episode 1 of Entrepreneurs for a Change. If you liked this episode, please take the time to review this podcast in iTunes. In closing, I'd love to leave you with a little taste of an Amazon project that is near and dear to my heart. Enjoy.
Meus irmãos, vou chamar aqui nesse terreiro. É a força da cura, é a força da cura, é a força da cura para nos curar. vou chamar aqui nesse terreiro. É a